The fourth edition of Talkin' Tar Heels starts right now. Hello and welcome everybody into another fun edition of Talkin' Tar Heels. Got an exciting episode here today for you. We are going to be discussing the events of the UNC basketball camp. Now, I recently had the privilege of attending this basketball camp. I got to view a workout held by the players, and I also got to witness an alumni versus current team scrimmage, and we're going to break down some takeaways from those two things, as well as just some overall things that I saw while I was at the camp. So first, let's move to the workout takeaways. We don't have a whole bunch of these, although there was two things that I did notice, one of which was that Elliot Cadeau looks a lot more comfortable in his shot. He's clearly been in the gym. It looks a lot more fluid. He looks a lot more confident in it. And in the alumni game, he even did hit a three, and he was definitely confident with taking those shots even when he was a little bit guarded. I liked that. I think that's a part of him that we need to see emerge in this upcoming season. So I am very excited to see how that progresses moving forward toward the start of the basketball season. Another thing that I noticed from the workouts is that Carolina just does not have a true bruiser. Armando Bacot, for example, was this team's bruiser right there back last year. He was this team's big man. He was this team's guy that they needed when they needed just to go muscle somebody out of the way. Carolina doesn't have one of those guys this year. They've got a bunch of long, athletic bigs such as Jalen Washington, Zayden High, Van Allen, Lubin, those types of guys that are going to run the floor and be able to stretch the floor. And while I don't see this as potentially being a bad thing for Carolina because I mean, while Carolina fans are going to be used to seeing one of those big men on the floor, Hubert Davis does like to play fast, and I think this is going to enable him to play at a breakneck pace, which is more to his liking than and I mean, we didn't see that. I mean, Roy Williams liked to play fast, but he also liked to pound the ball inside, and I think we're going to see the athleticism that Hubert Davis likes his players to really show as the season starts. So now let's move on to the alumni game takeaways. Let's start with RJ Davis, who led the way in scoring with 15 points. No surprise there. He was his normal scoring self, knocking down threes, getting to the basket, everything you'd expect to see out of RJ Davis. Something I wasn't really expecting to see was how much the freshmen impressed. Ian Jackson and Drake Powell had 10 and 9 points. They both made multiple threes. Ian Jackson made a couple of nice moves. He had some dribble pull-ups. He also played some really good on-ball defense. Another thing that I noticed in this alumni game was that the defense overall was just sloppy. There was miscommunications. Guys weren't getting back. The on-ball defense was okay, but it could have been better. Cole Anthony was one of the alumni in the gym, and he absolutely cooked the Tar Heels. So overall, just sloppy defense, but I do think that's something that can be improved before the season starts. Something else that I noticed was that Cade Tyson did not roll out with the starting five, and obviously this could change. Jalen Withers rolled out with the starting five, and both of those guys are experienced guys, but I do still believe in Cade Tyson. I think he will be in the starting five come November. I just think he hasn't quite had enough time with the system to be in that starting five yet. And then there was another thing. Zayden High, he played several minutes at the five. He he looked comfortable at the five. And when Carolina went with the smaller lineup, he was the guy that they turned to play that position, which I think is interesting. I think it's something we could see out of Zayden High. He has the size to do it. So that's definitely something we can look for at the beginning of the season. And I think it's something we could be excited about as a lineup like that will give Carolina a lot of shooting on the floor and a lot of speed and athleticism on the floor. The one other thing that I noticed from the alumni game as we move toward the overall takeaways is just how much the alumni were able to get on the boards, especially the offensive glass. Luke May had multiple offensive rebounds. Justin Jackson grabbed a couple offensive rebounds. So that's something that will also have to be shored up for Hubert Davis's team before the season starts. And I think it can happen, but that's also the thing you risk with a smaller team is not being able to get on the board. So we'll just have to wait and see what transpires goes on in November when the season starts. So now let's move to the one overall takeaway, and that's just the way that I'm expecting this team to play at the beginning of the season. And obviously, we'll talk more about this as the season gets closer. But this team just looks like the type of team that's going to wear you down. They've got a lot of speed, so they're going to obviously use a breakneck pace. But they could struggle on the boards. And I noticed that in the alumni game, they struggled on the boards as I just mentioned, and then also defensively, just because of lack of size, you could see teams that have a big man just go straight at them and Carolina won't be able to stop them. They'll have to double team, as you saw oftentimes when Jalen Washington was on the court against other teams, which Carolina can do. They've got the athleticism and the ability to recover from those double teams to be able to do that. But defensively is an area Carolina could still struggle despite the presence of multiple good defenders on the roster. You know, they've got Seth Trimble, Ian Jackson impressed me in particular in the alumni game when facing Cole Anthony, he did a good job on the defensive end. So Carolina's got some good perimeter defenders. It's just going to be, can they hold their ground on the inside? There's another thing about this team, and it's something I didn't think we could say about last year's team, and that's that 1 through 5 they're going to be able to shoot this year. Carolina's going to have 5 shooters on the floor at all times, and that was something we couldn't really say last year. I mean, even Seth Trimble has gotten a better shot along with Cadeau. He was also more confident in that shot. So I think, especially with the sharpshooting freshmen Ian Jackson and Drake Powell coming in, Carolina's going to constantly be able to shoot the three ball, and that's something, again, we couldn't say that last year, and I think that's going to be an intriguing part to Carolina's game. All right, guys, that is episode 4 of this show. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss all the Saturday videos. I'm also planning on potentially dropping some shorts content in the near future. Not quite sure what's going to go on there, but if you have a suggestion for me, drop it in the comments, and I will see you guys next Saturday.